So you want to be wealthy, but what do you need to do? Maybe get an insanely high-paying job or save every penny by waving goodbye to all forms of enjoyment and entertainment? Or maybe you have no idea. If this is something you've asked yourself before, you're in the right place. In this video, you'll learn lessons that I learned about building wealth from the Millionaire Next Door. Now, I'm not so tone deaf to think that you can personal finance your way out of, say, poverty, but there are things that many of us can do to improve our situations. So if you're interested in getting your money in order or just learning a bit more for your own personal finance needs, especially given the current state of wages, real estate, inflation, and the economy as a whole, I hope you stick around and find this video educational and helpful. But first, pop quiz. What do famous celebrities, professional athletes, and teachers have in common? Millionaire status. Or at least they all have the capacity to reach millionaire status. Let me explain. There's a reason that some seemingly normal people, yes, including teachers, amass massive wealth, and we're not turning to Wall Street or Silicon Valley for our insights. Instead, I'm taking you for a stroll down the block to meet the Millionaire Next Door. Today, I want to share 3 key takeaways plus one bonus takeaway that I'll share at the end that have the power to potentially reshape your approach to money and success. First, I'll talk about the double benefit of living below your means. Second, a 6-letter B word you may love and or hate. Third, compounding gains. And the last one, fourth, I'll share at the end, so stick around. So check this out. Here is my first takeaway that I want to share with you. It's the double benefit of living below your means. Living below your means, or in other words, spending less money than you make, is something that makes sense intuitively, right? Another way to think about it is that you don't spend more money than you actually have, which seems obvious enough. Now, what's less obvious is the double benefit of living below your means. What do I mean by that? The first benefit, of course, is that you save more if you're not spending all of your money. The second benefit is that it also means that when your expenses aren't as high, you don't really need to save as much for the future, so you ultimately need to save less. Let me give you an example to demonstrate. In scenario 1, Millie makes $60,000 but lives on just $50,000. So that means she has $10,000 per year to save for a nest egg and can retire when that nest egg is big enough to generate, along with any other benefits, $50,000 a year. Now in scenario 2, she makes $60,000 but spends more, say $59,000. This means she can only put away $1,000 for her nest egg every year. This nest egg needs to eventually help provide $59,000 a year in retirement, which is what she lives on. So the Millionaire Next Door emphasizes the importance of being frugal, not cheap, and yes, there is a difference, and it's about avoiding the trap of overconsumption. These millionaires that are talked about in the book, they're not driving luxury cars or living in extravagant mansions necessarily. Instead, they prioritize saving and investing. So it's less about how much you earn and more about how much you keep. Next, let's talk about a B word that gets a lot of love and also a lot of hate. That word is budget. This book highlights the discipline of budgeting as a cornerstone of financial success, and don't let the D word, discipline, scare you off. What is budgeting? Budgeting is about tracking expenses and allocating your financial resources wisely. But let's be real, unless you're an accountant or a finance nerd, budgeting probably sounds as exciting as being stuck in traffic. Here's what the Millionaire Next Door tells us about budgets. Hopefully, it'll spice things up just a little bit for you. The majority of millionaires have a budget, and what you might find surprising is that they aren't necessarily sitting around having fun partying while they plan out their expenses for the coming months or year, although there are ways to make it more interesting for yourself. But instead of being put off by the lack of stimulation or boredom, what drives these people is the payoff of doing it and the consequences of not doing it. Those who don't have a budget have something else instead. Instead, they have what the authors call an artificial economic environment of scarcity, meaning they invest a significant amount before they can spend any. This is also known as pay yourself first because you're making sure your money goes towards you and your investments before spending it away. It's not about restriction just for the sake of it. It's about intentional spending to achieve your long-term goals. So if you've made it this far into the video, awesome, let's keep it going and talk about the third lesson that I learned from the Millionaire Next Door, which is all about compounding gains. Lesson 3, invest early and consistently. Someone once showed me this penny doubling calculation that at the time blew my mind. So you basically take a penny, then double that every day for an entire month. Growth is slow at first. On day 2, you'd have 2 cents. By day 10, you're at $5.12, so nothing crazy. But day 18 is where it starts to get a little bit more interesting. By day 28 that is, you'd have over $1 million. This is the power of compounding interest. The Millionaire Next Door shows that most millionaires don't get rich overnight. Instead, they embrace the power of compounding by starting to invest early and being consistent with it. This principle is a game changer for anyone looking to build substantial wealth over time. Alright, so I did promise a bonus tip, and here it is. Are you ready for it? Earnings do not equal estates. There is a difference between income and wealth. Let me explain. When you think about Michael Jackson, what comes to mind? Maybe incredible music, iconic dance moves, multiple Grammy Awards, a lavish lifestyle, all of the above? Something you might be surprised to learn is that he was reportedly also at least $400 million in debt when he passed away. The reason I'm telling you this is because if you've ever heard the saying, big paycheck, big bank account, well, it's just not that simple. While it's true that households with higher incomes often have more wealth, there's so much more to the story. The size of your paycheck only explains a portion of why some households have way more wealth than others. So what's the secret sauce? Turns out it's all about what you do with that paycheck. Millionaires aren't just sitting on piles of cash, they're investing nearly 20% of their income on average. Those who are great at accumulating wealth, Danko and Stanley call them prodigious accumulators of wealth, or PAWs. On the flip side, those who aren't so good at it, they're called under-accumulators of wealth, or UAWs. So while a fat paycheck can definitely help, it's what you do with it that really counts when it comes to building wealth for the long haul. So there you have it, just a tiny taste of the valuable lessons that I picked up from the Millionaire Next Door. Now I would love to hear from you. Do you have a take when it comes to making, saving, or investing money? Share your thoughts if you'd like in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more insights into school, work, life, wealth, and everything in between. Until next time, here's to your journey towards financial success.